I am Pooja Bhatt. I am currently in Atlanta, Georgia at Emory University pursuing the 2-year full-time MBA program. I am ethnically Indian, but born and raised in Qatar, and just moved to Atlanta last July. Yes, so my background before the MBA was essentially that I was a scientist. I previously went into forensic sciences because I loved being a Nancy Drew as a kid. Loved that. Spent my undergrad trying different pathways in forensic sciences. I looked at different internships during that time and found out that crimes and studying about crimes can be quite scary, which is why I moved into a more science-heavy and research-oriented master's. And I dived into the deep ends of nanotechnology. So I did forensic nanotech as my master's. That was a really, really great time because I got to do a lot of research and understand how much nanoparticles can matter, especially in pharma. And that grew me interested to go into pharma. So I did a little bit of contract research in a pharma-based organization. Loved that, and then moved into a more executive sales role where I was able to utilize all that I learned about science and apply it to sales and scientific consulting, sometimes doing a little bit of application science. It was really interesting, and post that, I decided to do my MBA. Essentially, my path and my trajectory was very science heavy all my life. That was what I was involved in, and that's what I really enjoyed. And something that's very common with business and science is problem solving. And that was my favorite piece of it. While I was able to do this beautiful role in sales where I got to be so interactive, use my human side, my communication side of things, I realized that I never formally actually learned finance, accounting, even sustainable business ideation, innovation strategies, or really like go in the depths of what business education can give me. And I also wanted to utilize the MBA to really help me accelerate into the space that I was very interested in, which is the biopharma market. But do it from the angle of bigger picture, looking at the entire organization, having more control over larger decisions that are made. And I honestly felt that getting the education to be able to do this, as well as having these 2 years to practice different parts of what I want to do in the next couple of years in my life, would be perfect, which is why I decided that I definitely want to get an MBA. Essentially, Emory University is truly and very, to the core of its essence, it's really all about how people feel here. I felt from day one, from my interactions with anyone in admissions, with anyone who was at the university when I was looking at applications, I really felt that they were all very true in the way they talked to me, in the way they communicated what they liked about the school and what they didn't like about the school. I really felt like it was a very authentic and genuine place. And that's what really called me and attracted me to it. I saw them show up to every single event that happened, which also meant that they were really interested in attracting the best of talent. And at the same time, I really wanted 3 things out of my program. First, I wanted to be able to be visible. I wanted to be able to have my own individuality shine through in my program. Second, I really wanted to be in a city that is up and coming and growing. And third, I really wanted to make sure that my program gives me the opportunity to do an internship where I'm able to test what I want to do next. And Emory was able to hit all three of it. Firstly, it is a very small cohort size, which really helps you connect with everyone as well as be yourself. Um, it is in Atlanta, which is very, very booming. It's just perfectly located in Atlanta, such that we have our own little campus space, but we're still like just 20 minutes away from all the restaurants and Midtown and everything that's really happening in Atlanta. Um, and lastly, I really have the opportunity to do a very, very rigorous core course, which helped me interview really well and therefore gave me the option of interning anywhere that I would want. I think one of the most interesting things or beneficial things about the 2-year full-time program is that it's very high touch and very, very immersive. Having said that, it's really your chance, after having worked for several years, to put yourself back into that environment where you're enjoying being a student, where you're meeting and talking to new people almost every day. And I think that's what's interesting about the Emory community, is that the business school is in such a beautiful way that every cohort can have an opportunity to exchange, meet each other, bump into each other into like the courtyard while going from one class to another. At the same time, there's intentional programming to make sure that there is effective exchange of ideas between students. There is absolutely no limit to how much you can socialize and how much you can network and learn from other people, not just in the MBA, but from other programs. Like we have the executive MBA, we also have the management in the master's in management, the master's in finance, tons and tons of other programs with whom we get the opportunity to talk, meet, discuss. Apart from that, there is something called KEGS. So in the America, there are beer kegs, but what we try to really do from this is it's a Goizueta tradition called keeping everyone at Goizueta social, KEGS, an acronym. And essentially every Thursday we all just meet. There's food, music, dogs, kids, everyone, partners, everyone are welcome to this really happy socializing event, which kind of also commences our week because we don't have classes on Friday. So I feel like that is really the highlight of what happens every week. But apart from that, there is dinners with faculties, there's dinners with international students, dinners with different cuisines, dinners with different programs, just unlimited amount of things that you can do over here and really have that back into student life experience. In terms of extracurriculars, I had the opportunity to do several things, including being elected the president of the Graduate Business Association. So last year, my class went through an election, and it was very surprising, but very fortunate for me to get this opportunity to really practice my leadership. And I also have been very active in the Graduate Women in Business Association, along with being a social enterprise fellow. So the Women in Business Association at Goizueta is a very thriving community. It's interlinked with several other women in business associations, including executive, as well as bachelors. What's really interesting about this is we try to create this space where women can talk to each other as well as share each other's experiences to become better leaders. We also invite several industry leaders, women who have shown us kind of the path of how beautiful leadership can be, with the various things that a woman has to balance usually in life. We also do a lot of fun events, which includes like a wine tour recently that we had done last year. What was really interesting is that our program office actually sponsored that tour because they felt that after having worked a whole core semester, it was time that we can have more avenues of talking about it, feeling heard amongst each other while being in a very comfortable, beautiful vineyard. Um, at the same time, I feel that this year, as I have this leadership responsibility upon me, I have tried to create more resources for the cohort that is the 2026 class. I created a program called the Core Support Program, where sometimes women on a team feel like they don't have the opportunity to speak up, or they don't have the opportunity to be as heard as their male counterparts, especially in team settings. And what essentially we want to do with this core support peer program is that give every woman the opportunity to come back, talk to someone who's gone through that same situation, and look at it from different perspectives and practice how they can improve themselves in that situation, or how they can gain more control of that situation, so that when they go back into, working on a board someday, if they're faced with such situations, they are better prepared in terms of what they can do. As for the Social Enterprise Fellowship, I think it is one of the most fantastic fellowships at Goizueta, and I highly encourage anyone coming in to apply and try it out. It's great because it helps you get the sense of climate change, social awareness, diversity involvement, being a part of the local community here in Atlanta, while you're learning business, which is just perfect because when you go back into the industry, you're empowered with so much more than what anybody else would coming out of a business school. And as a person, it just gives you the opportunity to be more wholesome, to educate yourself about things like what are the challenges that the local community would be having. And as an international, I think it's just an excellent way for me to immerse myself into Atlanta. The internship that I had with Analytik Jena, which is an Anderson Hauser company, over the summer was truly an eye-opening experience as to how much I could utilize from what I learned in my core semester as well as the entire first year. There were concepts in marketing that I had never known before, which I was very, very well effectively be able to utilize that in a real world setting. So I worked on the go-to-market strategy of a new product that actually got to be launched Q4 2024. It was very interesting because I was able to apply concepts like design thinking, apply concepts of creating customer personas and segmentation, which were very unique to something that you learn in the marketing core in your MBA first semester. Apart from this, there were general interpersonal skills that I was able to develop throughout the process, including networking and recruiting, that were real like golden keys for me that I could also use during my internship. I think the MBA at Emory is very intentional in the sense that we pride ourselves on giving the world principled leaders. And I understand that better now because we actually did a core course called Principal Leadership. And truly, that was one of the most interesting and useful classes for me. Um, we had the opportunity to talk with our class as well as one of the most renowned professors, uh, Rod McCoven, to really understand how one can handle change, how one can handle leadership in this very, very dynamic, diverse, and different world that changes almost every second, and where you need to balance not just money, not just budgets, not just projects, not just people, but also a lot of emotions. I think that class was really instrumental in building me as a leader, or even as an individual myself. And those are learnings that I will continue to take forever on, as well as I have been constantly involved in sustainable and social impact investment related courses. And what they have done is really help me understand that business is not just about how much capital is brought into the economy or brought into the company, but also how much human capital is valued. And it's really small, key, important things of this sort that have differentiated my experience at Emory than my experience at any other place that I've been before. That's actually very interesting because I feel like the MBA program, as well as the entire recruiting process, is one, very rigorous, but second, so dynamic in the way that it will make sure that you get what you want while falling into the right place. So it's really like this big picture that you don't see when you start, but when you reach towards the end, it helps you understand that everything that has happened so far in the journey has just confirmed what your own intuition could have been. And so it's funny that I had wrote in my MBA essay, like application essay, that I want to be able to bridge the gap between what scientists want and what companies are manufacturing. And no matter how up and down my journey was throughout the 2 years, I'm really getting the opportunity to go back into a company and really have a seat at the table, really make that decision, what's coming into market. And I don't think that I could have expected a better reward than that, to be able to really achieve that goal that I had in mind, and to be able to do something so meaningful, impactful. So I think in my case, it has definitely provided me opportunities to explore the world, but at the same time has helped me realize that what I've been looking for is something I can definitely achieve, and is within my capabilities.